Some of the help of some of the players comes into play. Anthony Pieper unable to start this particular game. The toughest player for Marquette. He's out with a separated shoulder, a shoulder separated for the third time this year. That means Marcus West will start for the Golden Eagles. Aaron Hutchins will join him. Jared Levette will be in the middle with Crawford and Faisal Abraham on the blocks. Shammgod will start at guard for Providence, along with Thomas, Ruben Garces, Rozier, and Derek Brown. And as you look at Pieper, remember, this is a young man that's very tough. They hope he can play. Has a brace that you can see under the warm-up right around the neck area. It literally will keep him from launching shots above his shoulders, and in fact the passes might be his biggest problem. But Mike Dean expects him to play before the day is done. 22-8 this year, third year at Marquette since taking over for Kevin O'Neill, formerly at Siena. And Pete Gillen, the Providence head coach, coming over from Xavier of Ohio, now in his third season overall at Providence. Shammgod will be the catalyst for this Providence team. Marquette's challenge is to cut off any lane that he might be able to find with dribble penetration. Crozier dumping it off to Brown. Shot clock winding down in this first possession for Providence. Crozier lost it on the way up, and a shot clock violation. And right away, Marquette's defense, the best in the country, comes to play. Providence trying to pick up this game's tempo. They want to push it. Marquette wants to stop it.
And Providence intends to enhance the tempo of this game by offering full court pressure, full court man-to-man pressure, full court zone trapping pressure.
Hutchins running off that curl. Trapped, has to give it back up to West. And the shot clock drifting down near 10 for Marquette. West somehow gets it to Faisal Abraham. He can't hit. Shammgod brings it down. Derek Brown. Out of bounds. Last touched by Abraham. It'll be controlled underneath to Providence. It's a Providence team. Disappointment in some circles in the Big East. Expected to be one of the top teams as Crozier puts it in. 2-0 Friars, but Pete Gillen's club played well late, particularly in the Big East tournament. He believes that they picked up some confidence.
So much has been made of the fact that Marquette is an outstanding defensive team, but so is Providence. Providence has excellent quickness. Their players anticipate well. And I think not only are we going to see a good offensive performance out of Providence, but we're going to see a good defensive performance. They think they can match Marquette's toughness at the defensive end of the floor.
Abraham lost it. Went right through his legs. Thomas. That is the Providence game. And they're up 4 very early. This is a Marquette team, George, that won the Conference USA tournament, winning 4 straight games without a bye in that particular tournament. Only the second team in NCAA history to win a conference tournament playing 4 games in 4 days. And you see Pieper now being called upon very early to come in this game. We'll see how effective he'll be.
And someone sitting home saying, what is the Providence offensive game? It's penetration, penetration, run, run, and then penetrate and run a little more.
Foul, a push on Shammgod. Sophomore from New York, and a quick whistle this time.
And when you, as a player, when you see that the officials are calling it close like they are right now, then it becomes incumbent upon you to make the defensive adjustment.
That's something Pete Gillen would rather not see. He'd like this game to be called loosely, allowing his team an opportunity to get some deflections and start some breaks. Levette, nice move in the interior by Jared Levette, the sophomore from Blair, Wisconsin. Crozier trying a little high-low game, working down low. We'd like to remind some of our viewers that they will be leaving us in a few minutes to see another game of special interest in their local areas. You'll be kept up to date on the progress of our game with scoring reports and highlights. If it's anything like today, those reports and highlights will be chock full of surprises, as they were earlier this afternoon, particularly in Pittsburgh and here in Charlotte. Levent creating contact, his key, as he did there, bodying up on Crozier.
Here in the early stages of the game, we're seeing Gerard Levent's inside game, but he also has an equally potent outside game.
Crozier, the senior from Los Angeles, answers with a two-pointer just inside the arc. A stop-and-go move by Hutchins. Gives it up to Levent, and he took the extra step. Second turnover committed by Marquette. 3.5 minutes deep here in the opening half.
Pete Gillen has freed up Austin Crozier's mind at the offensive end of the court. He's given him the green light, and he looks to score each time he catches the basketball.
Crozier looking for Garces. Out of bounds off of Marquette. Providence will keep it. Mike Dean disagrees. And letting Rusty Herring know about it. Our officials tonight, Rusty Herring, Terry Chrisman, and Bob Sitar. Garces, a very unselfish player, allows Crozier and Derek Brown the room they need to work down low. Perimeter jumper won't go for Jamel Thomas. But once again, another opportunity coming for the Friars. Marquette, generally a team that does not allow second chances. Crozier, strong move to the hoop, giving it up to Garces. And the foul against Chris Crawford.
Crozier's a very good interior passer. This is a good example as he takes the ball to the basket. He reads the defense. He sees he has two defenders on him, and he drops the ball off to the empty post man for the easy basket that turned out not to be so easy for Ruben Garces.
From Cologne, Panama. He's been playing with a slight stretch fracture. But as I mentioned earlier, very solid. This is a Providence team at times criticized for being a bit selfish with the basketball, but never Garces. He's always been a solid complementary player for this team.
Well, he kind of hangs around on offense and picks up the crumbs that are left.
Hutchins dumping it down. A good overplay by Garces there, knocking it away from Faisal Abraham. Over 4 minutes gone, and PC with a 6-4 lead very early.
They're a very physical team. They play an excellent half-court game. They grind you up pretty well. You know, big, strong guys. We want to play fast, up-tempo, chuck and duck. We want to reflect the coach. I'm ugly. We want it to be an ugly game.
Pete Gillen always good with the one-liners. You see the fast break points for Providence, but you throw out that miracle ride of '87 by Rick Pitino with Billy Donovan and Dale Ray Brooks. It's been since '74 since Providence has had any success in the NCAA tournament. And for Pete Gillen, given this being his third year and players of the stature of the Providence Friars he has this season, very important to him and to this program that they get beyond round one. Abraham gets it done. Some of our viewers will be leaving us momentarily to see Wake Forest and St. Mary's. You'll be kept up to date on the progress of our game with scoring reports and highlights. Crozier with a little ball fake, and in so doing, he turned it over again.
We're looking at a 1-2-2 half-court trap right now. This is the fourth defense exposed by Pete Gillen.
Cross-court pass to Pieper. There's the shot. Now, the shot doesn't bother him to brace on that shoulder. Remember, it is the left shoulder that's dislocated, but for a third time it's dislocated. It's passing the ball. If he has to take the ball up around, or say, the ears to make a pass, he's in trouble. He can't get his arm above that portion of his body. First lead of the game for Marquette. Crozier with a shot clock winding down again. A little hang time there. Run down by Crawford. Quick outlet, and Pieper gets it off the glass. I'd say he's important to this team.
He's an awfully tough youngster. He played football in high school. I talked to the trainer right before the game. He told me, he said, George, even if he was hurt, he wouldn't tell us. There's no way he would take himself out of this NCAA tournament opportunity.
In my conversation with him during the warm-ups, he touched base on his shooting capability and said it was really unaffected. Contact and passing the basketball causes more pain than the shot. Right now, he's feeling very little pain. 5 points from him in just the last minute, and Marquette has extended its lead to 5 points.
I asked the Marquette trainer how long he thought he could go. He said, well, if we get a good solid 30 minutes out of him, we'll be happy.
7-0 run in the last 2:32. In our conversations with Mike Dean yesterday, he told us that he was very happy to draw a Friday-Sunday regional rather than Thursday-Saturday, just to give Pieper a little extra time to get motion back in that shoulder, to allow it to free up a bit. Murdoch is on the floor now for Providence out of the timeout. Nice work inside as Garces gets the dump down and gets his first basket, 11-8. Marquette by 3. Crawford working it on Crozier. Nice matchup. That time the pass, Faisal Abraham simply not prepared to receive it. And it's the third Golden Eagle turnover. Only a couple of points off those turnovers for Providence, and that's a real key to Mike Dean. Turnovers only become a problem for Marquette if Providence gets breakaways. Speaking of which, here's Bargan. Off the steal and the deuce. Mike Bargan, sophomore from East High School, Lincoln, Nebraska. Off the bench and in the scoring column. 13-8. Murdoch finds Crozier at the top. 7 of the 11 for Providence belong to Austin Crozier.
What has to concern Pete Gillen at this point is the fact that Marquette has forced them into a half-court offense, which is not their game. It puts a high premium on offensive execution. And as Pete said it when we saw the little video of him earlier, they want to rock and roll.
Corey Wright picking up that foul, the 5'8" sophomore from New York. Substitution for Marquette, Abel Joseph, young man out of Montreal, Quebec, in the game. Pieper again. That right elbow is feeling so good, the left shoulder is unaffected. 16-11, 8 minutes deep in the opening half. Driving to the hoop and getting those second chances. Very important, and Garces now has 4, 16-13. Jason Murdoch taking that one to the hole aggressively, allowing Garces the putback opportunity. Derek Brown gets caught reaching in. That's part of the adjustment, though, that you were mentioning with regard to the way the officials are calling the game. Any reach is liable to be whistled. This is Providence's game. Drive and deliver. That's the story in Memphis at the Pyramid, the other half of the Southeast Regional, where tomorrow play resumes. Kansas taking on Purdue, and the College of Charleston, John Kress, the protege of Louis Carnesecca, taking on Arizona. That's a quality matchup, and certainly Kansas right now is the team everyone has tagged as the club that should get it done, if any, this year.
Well, there are a number of media writers around the country who are calling this the Jayhawk Invitational.
Marcus West back on the floor out of the timeout. Pieper staying on the floor, and Joseph picks up that foul off the loose ball. His first. Third team foul against Marquette. Temple and Mississippi are underway. What a contrast in defensive styles in that 8-9 matchup tonight. Crozier checked by Joseph, and he'll pick up the block prior to the shot. That's his second.
Providence is exhibiting some of their own sterling defensive qualities as they've shut Aaron Hutchins out without a point thus far in this game.
Murdoch on the floor along with Wright and Shammgod as they try to match up going smaller. Jamel Thomas can't hit. Reeled in by Bargan. Hutchins to Pieper. Boy, that is his spot. He has been automatic since coming into the game. 3 for 3 and 4 for 4, counting the deuce inside. He has 11. Crozier.
He's feeling it.
Well, he is. It's really been a show for both Pieper and Crozier. 10 in the game for Austin.
Both players, Pieper and Crozier, their self-talk is, tonight's my night. I can hit it any time. Put it on me.
Crawford. Joseph lost it on the way down. Those quick hands of Jason Murdoch. And here's Shammgod. We haven't heard much from him so far. Thomas rejected by Joseph. Then it deflects off of Thomas, and Marquette gets it back.
Nice penetration. Marquette rallies to the ball. And an excellent block by Joseph.
Faisal Abraham and Jared Levette have checked back into the game for Marquette. Crawford taking a seat, as is Marcus West.
Pete Gillen's gone to a two-point guard offense to reduce a little bit of the ball handling responsibilities on Shammgod.
Nice work inside by Crawford. 21-16. Thomas. That's a tray by Jamel. Dean can't understand why no one got out there to check him. He's screaming to his team, whose man is that? You had better check him. Don't give him any room at the top. And Crozier with 10 of the 19 points for the Friars.
Talking to a couple of Big East coaches, one of the criticisms that they had of Providence defense is that Providence will allow you to move the ball to any spot on the floor you want without contesting the pass. They have good on-the-ball pressure, but they do not contest passes well.
Crawford rolling to the baseline, short-armed that one just a bit. Cleared by Garces. Shammgod has yet to attempt a field goal. So Marquette obviously concentrating heavily on stopping Shammgod. Oh, nice bank shot. It's open late here in Charlotte. Thomas using the glass. And we're tied at 21.
And just as you said that, Shammgod exhibited his basic offensive staple, penetrate and pitch.
Abraham initiating the contact into both Brown and Crozier. It's Derek Brown that gets the foul, his second. those of you just joining us, the Marquette Golden Eagles and Providence Friars out to a quality start. Defense is at a premium, but neither team has been able to solve Anthony Pieper, playing really with a separated shoulder, his left shoulder, wearing a brace, and Austin Crozier, who has been both effective driving to the basket as well as with pull-up jumpers from beyond the arc. 8:40 and counting here in the opening half. There's Crozier again, right on cue. Lights, camera, action. Timeout, Marquette.
What Providence is doing, they're using Austin Crozier as a trailer on the fast break, much like the Boston Celtics did at the twilight of Larry Bird's career. Now he's going to come down late, and no one picks him up because he arrives so late. Shammgod dishes it back to him for the nice spot-up three-point shot. What a luxury to have a 6'9" forward who can hit the three.
Shammgod, by the way, though he has not scored, George, does have 5 assists. Now, Crozier's making him look pretty good, knocking him down. When he gets it, he's going to drill it. But I was amazed that time that Shammgod was able to get rid of the ball prior to turning it over. He was about to slip and have steps called.
I think it's a good lesson for young point guards at the high school and junior high school level to understand that you don't have to score to help your team.
Pieper can't miss.
You create scoring opportunities for your teammates.
There again, that penetration leading to the dump. And a foul inside. That'll go against Anthony Pieper. Well, no small wonder why Mike Dean said this is the toughest kid he's ever coached. He has illustrated that in the first 11-plus minutes of this NCAA first-round game in Charlotte. What a button-hook move by Shammgod there to find right. Oh, my! A whirling dervish prior to that dish.
Well, and then you understand why Shammgod is not looking for the shot. He's creating shots for other people. He's totally distorting Marquette's defense.
Mike Dean takes a 20-second timeout. That was just an amazing move. Leave your defender grabbing for air.
Nice stop and turn and pitch move by Shammgod. I mean, just having a name like that, it puts an unusual burden on you.
His passes so far have been divine guidance.
Yeah. How would you like to go to a Catholic school and your first name is God?
You better be good. And he has been. But, you know, it really is time. You know, Pete calls him Sham, but it really is time when you think about it, George, that he get more ink for his game rather than his name. 27-24, an 11-3 run for Providence in the last 150.
A lot of patience and structure in this Marquette offense.
Hutchins trying a skip pass. That's just the kind of contact that's got to hurt people. On that skip pass, Thomas and he collide in midair. Thomas picking up the foul, his first. A very entertaining start here in North Carolina.
Tiger Woods takes on Augusta National. The Masters on CBS.
As the teams come out of the timeout at Charlotte, let's take a look around the country here. Jim Nance, Clark Kellogg from New York, out west, Tucson, the site, St. Mary's in red. And down early by 11 to the 3-seed Wake Forest. What's been the story so far, Clark?
How about touchdown or triple-double or Tim Duncan? He's the guy dominating. 8 points, 5 boards, a couple of blocks. Wake Forest in the midst of a 15-zip run. Actually now, not quite a 15-zip run anymore.
With one free throw by the 7'3" Big Continent center. They call Brad Millard Big Continent.
He's a wide one and has made vast improvement between last year and now.
But not able to contain Duncan early in that matchup, a big man. So the player of the year back on his feet. Let's check the action in Kansas City. It has been just a brutal day for the SEC already. South Carolina and Georgia ousted from this tournament, and they've got another conference team trailing. Temple by 9 over Ole Miss. And an injury timeout, Ole Miss there in the white uniforms. But Temple with that zone so tough.
And they vary it up on you. They deny penetration on occasion. Sometimes they'll pack it in, and if you're not making perimeter shots, forget about it.
Wow, the Owls have done well on the inside. Witness that bucket right there. So 17-8, 9:24 to go first half. Stoppage in play to address the injury. And the other site right now is in Pittsburgh. That's Old Dominion against New Mexico. And New Mexico, the 3 seed in the East, just ran out to a big start.
They were up 10-zip. Right now, Old Dominion only down 2. Mark Pogue has 7 points for ODU. Odell Hodge, who we thought might be able to do damage inside against New Mexico, has only scored 2 points so far.
So Dave Bliss gives his Lobos some last-second instruction. Low-scoring game, 4:31 left in the half of that one. But let's get back out to Charlotte. Back to Tim and George.
Ruben Garces, a complimentary player, has taken over the last couple of minutes with block shots, baskets in the low post, and moments ago fouled as he took it to the rack for a jam opportunity, and now trying to extend the Providence lead to 6, and does so. 30-24, largest lead of the game for the Friars. 6:20 and counting here in the Southeast Regional first-round matchup. Hutchins with a carry, palming the basketball. We've seen more of that this year. That's the 6th turnover by Marquette. This is a carry.
Let that dribble ride a little too high up into the palm of his hand.
Shammgod up in the air and making a play. This time to Jamel Thomas.
And Jamel Thomas exhibited good body control to avoid the offensive foul.
8 assists for Shammgod. And he's driving with a purpose.
What you have to do is when he goes to the basket, you should not help out. Force him to become a shooter and not a passer. I don't understand why when Shammgod goes to the basket, the defense would help. I would let him go to the basket and make him prove he's a shooter.
16-3 this run for Providence, and the tempo really getting away from Marquette, and that's not something Mike Dean is used to seeing, but Shammgod, though not scoring, is forcing this up-tempo.
Well, Pete Gillen wants the hully-gully.
High pick for Crawford, but they show through it. Now Pieper, first off-balance shot and miss for Anthony Pieper tonight. Wright runs a 3-on-1 break. He was hoping Thomas would trail. Again, Garces. Count it.
What Ruben Garces does, he just kind of hangs around. He reminds me of a puppy during supper time. He hangs around the table and waits for the scraps to fall.
It's been feeding time for Providence. A 5-second call.
And Providence has taken a page out of Marquette's book with their outstanding and aggressive defense.
Well, look at that pass from Crozier. It's sort of a point forward there.
Crozier has potential to continue to play at the next level. He was one of the stars on the United States 22 and under team. He played with Tim Duncan and Bevan Knight and the gang.
Well, he was a guy that very nearly played elsewhere. Taking it to the glass. Fouled. Rusty Harry with the call, and it will go against Faisal Abraham. This is a young man that wanted to go to UConn. They gave up the scholarship to Kirk King. Notre Dame had run out of scholarships, and so Providence had the availability, and Pete Gillen, a former Notre Dame assistant to Digger Phelps, happy to have him at the Catholic school in Rhode Island.
I happen to believe that this young man at the foul line, Austin Crozier, is the most versatile player in the Big East Conference. He can score. He scores off of rebounds, post up, drives, face up, catch and shoot.
One of the holdovers from the Rick Barnes era. Barnes, of course, a winner today. Got his first NCAA tournament win at Clemson. He got Providence into the NCAA tournament on a couple of occasions, coming up empty both times. This, as I mentioned earlier, would be the first NCAA tournament win for Providence since 1987, when Pitino took them to the Final Four in New Orleans. Lost to Syracuse. Crawford hammered as he takes it to the glass. Garces picking up the foul. His first. Crawford, another one of those versatile players, though not really into the flow as yet for Marquette in tonight's game. Kalamazoo, Michigan is home.
We're closing down the first half, and Aaron Hutchins has not taken a shot, has not scored. In fact, he's AWOL in the Marquette offense.
36-25. Isolation time. Brown looking low as Crozier tries to post up on Crawford. Now pick and roll. Shammgod, his first deuce. His first attempt. Timeout, Marquette. And the Friars are on fire thanks to Sham's divine guidance. Softly through the cylinder. The Providence front line, effective through the course of the year. Garces more of a complimentary player for Brown and Crozier. Look at what they've done tonight, George. Even without Derek Brown scoring, between the two, Garces and Crozier, 24 points, a couple of boards. They've only missed 2 from the field.
And Derek Brown will definitely step up before this game's over. He's a silent assassin, Derek Brown.
Aaron Hutchins dumping it down to Crawford. Spin move. And an over-the-back foul coming against Bargan, number 21, the sophomore. Marquette led this game 21-16 with 9:45 remaining in the half. Since then, Providence on a 22-4 tear over the last 5.5 minutes. We're at the Charlotte Coliseum, side of the Southeast Regional first round. With George Raveling, Tim Brando, happy to have you with us. The Providence Friars seeded 10th, taking on Marquette. And right now, the Friars with their largest lead of 13.
When you play slow like Marquette does, and you're struggling offensively, it puts an enormous amount of pressure on your defense to carry you.
Now Crozier with an offensive rebound. Marquette's matchup zone, generally so effective, reduced to mediocre by the driving and penetrating of the Friar guards, enabling that front line to become so productive.
Marquette's in a 1-2-2 matchup zone that gives a man-to-man look.
They get a turnover this time. Only the 5th committed by the Friars, and considering the frenetic pace that Pete Gillen wants to set, he'll settle with that near halftime. Only 5 turnovers. And a reach-in foul against Shammgod.
The best way for Providence to attack this matchup zone that Marquette is running is to run their man-to-man offense. Matchup zones have great difficulty in covering continual cutters.
Hutchins with 3 assists, 3 turnovers, no field goals. That's his first point. It's a young man that had a very disappointing loss to Maine early in the year, dedicated himself to becoming a bigger factor, and has been through the course of the last half of the season.
And he came into the game averaging 13 points a game. That's a big chunk to take out of the Marquette offense.
He and Pieper are on the floor, and it's, by the way, been a while since we heard from Anthony Pieper offensively after such a quick start. He made his first 4 shots from the floor. Now Pieper on the glass, bringing it down. 3 minutes remaining in the half as Thomas knocks it away.
Pete Gillen encouraging his players not to settle for jump shots, shooting over top of the zone, but to penetrate the zone, compact it, kick it back out for the good look.
Pieper hasn't scored since the 9-minute mark, so 6 minutes since Pieper has been in the column. Hutchins with the ball fake. Crozier altered that shot. He's still able to bury it, his first field goal, and that is a positive sign that Mark Dean hopes his team can build from.
The reason Providence has cooled off Pieper is because they have come out and pressured him and forced him to operate off the dribble.
Brown, Derek Brown, you mentioned he would warm up. Now he joins that front line dominance.
Derek Brown's a player that tends to be devalued by his opponent, and he silently goes about finding effective ways to beat you.
Jared Levette has 6. And an official's timeout.
I like it, Levette. Levette's a very impressive player.
That was a nice threat as a shooter, both in a post-up as well as a face-up.
Yes, nice wide-bodied player.
Crozier finds Brown. Look out. Derek beginning to warm up just before halftime. That's a 3-pointer.
And when you said he had been quiet, I told you, he's just too good a player.
Hutchins lost his man. Crawford on the glass. Rushed that shot. Corey Wright comes away with it.
When Providence started to space themselves out from Marquette, Corey Wright made an appearance on the floor, and if you notice, he has not left the game since he came onto the floor.
Crozier sneaking in past Levette. 17 for Austin Crozier. And at a time when Providence had not seized control, it was Crozier keeping them in this game. At a time when Marquette had the lead. He is 6 of 7 from the floor, and this is the largest lead for Providence. Jamel Thomas picking up his second foul.
And there's a mini battle going on inside between Austin Crozier and Jared Levette. And they go down the other end. It's, all right, you had your chance. I'm going to take mine. Now take that. The game within the game.
Crawford only 1 of 6 from the floor, drops that one through. Had he not made that shot, the team down at halftime in the first 2 games had 31 points, and the team leading had 46. In both of our afternoon games, we were dangerously close to seeing the same score at halftime in all 3 of our games. It's now 45-32.
Do you think it has anything to do with the position of the moon and the stars?
Are you and I being together for so long?
Corey Wright. Directing traffic.
Thomas a pull-up. Boy, Providence can do no wrong. Particularly since Wright has been in the game. And you're right. Pete Gillen going to really that 2-point guard offensive look changed the complexion of this game dramatically.
Well, he went to the 2-point guard offense.
Crozier brings it down. Oh! Austin, are you special? Count it!
Pete Gillen did not see the shot. His assistant Greg jumped on his back, and that's the first time he knew it went in. There was not a more surprised person in the gym than Pete Gillen.
Did you say something about positioning of the stars and the moon? Well, Providence right now in their own stratosphere. Take a look at this.
He has clock awareness. Look, he looked up and read the clock before he shot it. He knew what was going on. I don't think he knew it was going in.
The last time in NCAA tournament play, I witnessed a shot going from this distance. U.S. Reed for Arkansas to beat Louisville in the regionals in Austin, Texas. That was for the game. This was for the half, but a very special half for the Friars. They lead it 50-32. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
A 50-32 lead. Jim Nantz, Clark Kellogg here in New York. And how about the way the Friars played there in the back half of the first half?
72% shooting. Crozier 4-4 from three-point line. Breaking down the opposition with the dribble penetration. That leads to warm-up jump shots. Even you, Jim, would be able to knock down some jumpers the way they're getting the guys open.
Maybe 1 out of 10 or so. But I tell you, the favorite shot of the tournament so far, Austin Crozier. You saw it just a moment ago. What a moment. 70-footer. Brought a little Crozier to the first half for Providence. He has 20 in all, and that's the longest shot made in this tournament since Jim McCoy of UMass made one from the same spot back in 1992 in a game against Kentucky. Meanwhile,
here tonight. Again, the thing that's starting to get to him right now a little bit.
First 20 minutes.
I talked to the Providence radio announcer at halftime, and he told me that the team is extremely upset. They're so sick and tired of hearing about how good of a defensive team Marquette is, and it's inspired them to play good defense.
Crawford gets a layup. They'll need more of those. He has 7, 50-34. Garces trying to work pick and roll with Thomas. Crozier taking advantage of his quickness against Levette, rejected by Abraham, but he stays with it. You cannot give him a second chance. You've already seen what he can do with one opportunity in the closing seconds of a half.
And talking about second chances, Marquette only had 2 offensive rebounds in the first half.
Brown gets the long rebound, has Thomas on the wing, and he'll wait for Shammgod. Not a bad idea. Faisal Abraham now trying to front Garces as he sets up the pick and roll. Shammgod finds Brown. Got Crawford airborne. Shot clock under 10. Brown on the offensive glass. Providence quicker to the ball. Largest lead up to 20, 54-34. Opening moments of our second half in the Southeast Regional first round here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
It's apparent that there's a sizable difference in quickness, speed, and athletic ability between Marquette and Providence, with Providence taking the edge.
Hutchins, 7 points for him. He'll need to launch a few more. As George alluded in the first half, he averages 13 points per game and was invisible for the first 15 minutes of the first half.
It looks like Marquette's back in a rhythm, but what happens is you get a false sense of security because basically all you're doing is trading baskets.
Garces that time going over the back, picking up the foul, his second. But you're right, it can be fool's gold, can't it?
Yes. And Providence has enough margin that they can afford to trade a few baskets with.
Providence Friars, led by as many as 20, lead by 17 now. And they have thoroughly dominated the top defensive team in Division I basketball, the Marquette Golden Eagles. And now Marquette turning it over and Providence getting it back. Crozier closed the half with a 60-foot three-point shot, which gave him 20 points at the intermission, most by any Friar in a half this year. Providence scoring as a team more than they had scored at any time in one half this year against this vaunted Marquette defensive unit.
a significant defensive adjustment made by Providence was in the early stages of the game. Anthony Pieper was hurting Providence with the quick spot-up jump shot. Providence has adjusted, and they're running at him and forcing him to put the ball on the floor to create shots, and that's not his game. He's a catch-and-shoot player.
Pete Gillen decided to go to 2 point guards, getting both Corey Wright and Shammgod on the floor at the same time. And the matchup difficulties really became dominant for Marquette. And that's a player control foul. It'll go the other way. Against Crawford, his third. Look at that. 35.7, equaling an NCAA record for a Division I basketball team in stopping your opponent. And tonight, 77% they've given up to the Friars.
Well, I'm not sure the Golden Eagles have seen the likes of Shammgod.
Faisal Abraham gets it out to Hutchins. Tough pass that Pieper could not control. Derek Brown has it going the other way. And this is Shammgod's game, obviously. Stripped, Hutchins knocking it away. Providence will keep it underneath their own basket.
Tim, let me ask you a question. If someone told you Shammgod's coming to town, would you expect 3 wise men to appear from the east?
Yeah, well, I tell you, Crozier, Garces, and Brown have been pretty wise with those Shammgod dishes. Garces again on the offensive glass.
He's a blue-collar worker. He just hangs around and creates havoc on the board.
Jamel Thomas, lost in the air, gets it to Shammgod. Crawford clears, and they've got a run out, but again, Providence doing a nice job in defensive transition, not allowing Hutchins to get free.
Sometimes Marquette is disciplined offensively to a fault.
Levette and Crawford. Crawford again unable to hit. He has really struggled from the floor. Actually, Jared Levette has had a better night in the low post. Crawford really a multi-dimensional player. Only 2 of 9 from the floor.
A concern for the Marquette fans has to be the fact that Marquette is such a structured offensive team and so disciplined that they cannot score in bunches.
That foul will go against Ruben Garces. 5 minutes deep in the second half. As you look at our game summary, Pieper with 14 points. Crozier, obviously the story, but you say there's more to it with Pieper.
Well, a clear illustration of how stagnant Marquette's offense is that Pieper's 14 points all came in the first 11 minutes of the game.
And clearly, the greatest highlight, we said conservatively, 60 feet or so, but it was really more than that for Crozier to close out the first half. Hutchins blows past Wright. Well, that's the first time we've seen the quickness of Aaron Hutchins come to the forefront, the junior from Lima, Ohio. 54-39 as Marquette tries to negotiate its way back into this game. Tough assignment with Shammgod. Offensive foul against Shammgod.
In order for Marquette to deeply cut into this sizable Providence lead, they must do 2 things. Get a series of defensive stops and score in bunches. The defensive stops, I think they can do. Scoring in bunches, I'm not sure.
Well, we touched on our surprise today with Tennessee Chattanooga. Coppin State did it today, a 15 seed, knocking off 2nd seeded South Carolina. They stymied Larry Davis with that zone, pretty much the same zone that Rob Evans' Ole Miss team is seeing tonight, courtesy John Chaney and Temple. And our congratulations to Ron Mitchell for that upset win. As they move on, they're on the road to the Final Four.
And a win like that only makes it more difficult for Coppin State to schedule games.
Those are the games coming up tonight. Murray State and Duke will be featured in our finale here in Charlotte.
All around America, hoop fans are overdosing on NCAA basketball.
Crozier claims another rebound.
Just think, Tim, we get to sit here and see it for free.
Well, it has been fun. And after yesterday's win by higher seeds against the lower seeds, one had to expect that there would be more upsets. In day 2, Hutchins a pull-up. Well, maybe if he can get the feel, Mike Dean's club can make that kind of run. It's been since the 18-15 mark that the Friars scored.
It's very noticeable that Providence has now started to play Shammgod for the pass, and he's been forced to take the last 2 penetration shots.
Cliff just into the game. John Cliff, the freshman from Decatur, Illinois, picks up the rebound. Now being pressured by Murdoch, he gets it back into the very capable hands of Aaron Hutchins. He has Levette, Crawford, Cliff, and Anthony Pieper on the floor with him. And that'll be a push against Corey Wright, his second.
Many times when a team goes 4, 5, 6 possessions without a score and a quality shot, the coach will call a series of set plays from the bench, trying to put the ball in the hands of his most reliable shooters, players that he trusts.
Shammgod and Derek Brown take a seat. Jamel Thomas back on the floor now, along with Jason Murdoch. Murdoch comes away with that rebound. The last thing Mike Dean wants to see are rushed shots at this stage.
And just as we talked about calling a series of set plays, Pete Gillen signaled for play number 4.
Foul against Marquette. Will go against Anthony Pieper. That's 2 fouls on Pieper.
Well, looks like 2 sumo wrestlers.
Faisal Abraham back on the floor. Out of bounds, off of Garces. Front court scoring, Providence so effective. Marquette actually cutting into that gap, still though very large. It was 26-2 at one point in the first half by comparison. Faisal Abraham and Crawford running a double pick, trying to free Pieper. That's not his favorite spot on the floor, and he could not square up his shoulders for that jumper. He likes the other side when shooting those threes. Providence now has missed 9 straight field goal opportunities, so they've hit a drought. Marquette needs to take advantage. Over 8 minutes gone by here in the second half from the Charlotte Coliseum. There's the dump down to Garces. The reach in leads to the foul against Aaron Hutchins.
While Providence enjoys this substantial lead, it affords Pete Gillen the opportunity to utilize his bench.
We'll be back. A couple of number 2 seeds trying to forge their way through to the second round. Coming up later tonight, Murray State, Mark Gottfried. What a marvelous job he's done for the champions of the Ohio Valley Conference. They'll take on Duke. UMass against Louisville. Southwest Texas will be taking on more competition in this NCAA tournament here on CBS Sports. 54-41. Friars by 13. 7-minute scoring drought for Providence. And yet Marquette with only 7 points to show for it during that 7-minute drought. So not taking advantage of the opportunity given. The shot clock winding down. An offensive foul against Providence. Against Garces.
A covert problem for Marquette is that disciplined offensive teams have difficulty stepping outside of the mold and playing the speed game. And if, in fact, Marquette's going to get back into this game, they have to play the speed game, which allows them to score in bunches.
You must have some strength from your bench. Pieper is all that Marquette has been able to offer. Providence with only 3, but when you look at the starters, particularly the front line, they've needed very little help from the support crew. Shammgod again. Well, Garces just got his 4th, and Shammgod has picked up his 4th foul. So foul difficulty now has to be on Pete Gillen's mind.
Well, Providence has a severe matchup problem right now. Shammgod has to guard a forward, and he lacks the size and strength to do so.
Could get very interesting in the last 10:51 with the foul difficulty.
A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.
In 97, and if you consider the numbers that they've thrown up, their season average an NCAA record in holding down the opposition, yet Providence shooting 56%. That said, imagine 7-minute drought by Providence. What might it be prior to this 2 for 13 run that Providence has made during a 7-minute drought for the Friars? Still down 13. Keeper can't hit. Derek Brown brings down the rebound.
Marquette's showing a brilliant part of the defense here in the second half. Providence has only scored 4 points, and we're nearing the 10-minute mark of the second half.
They had 50 at the intermission. Courtesy an 80-footer by Austin Crozier to close out the half. Jamel Thomas. West tipping it up, and then the reach-in foul, one of those oh, by the way, fouls against Corey Wright. That's his 3rd. Near the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game, we'll select a genuine Chevrolet most valuable player from each team for our game. And to date, Chevrolet has contributed almost $6.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
It's becoming increasingly clear to me that if you interrupt any part of Providence's chemistry, you also cause their half-court offense to disappear.
Old Dominion giving New Mexico all they want. Temple stretching its lead against Ole Miss. Out of bounds. It will be controlled to the Friars. Nothing going Mike Dean's way.
And Providence has provided Marquette with a window of opportunity to get back in the game, but Marquette refuses to step through.
Brown sees the seam, finds Crozier, count it, and a foul. That ends an 8.5-minute scoring drought for Providence.
And Providence returns to what is the strongest part of its offensive game: penetrate and pitch.
Crozier now with 25. And the lead back to 15. Hutchins, stripped by Corey Wright. Numbers for the Friars. Thomas inside to Crozier. will be called for a walk. Now we may have an overrule. Rusty Herring may have the push. He does. Against Crawford, that's his 4th foul.
We'll clearly see why this play was overruled. There's a nice pass to Crozier, and as he was sandwiched between 2 Marquette players.
Crawford getting credit for the personal foul. Brown. He's launching. And the Friars, after that drought now, have hit 6 quick points in the last minute and have stretched the lead back to 18.
And we don't expect to see Shammgod back to around the 5-minute mark.
Corey Wright picking up his 4th foul. Well, given that, Shammgod may have to come in. But both he and Garces forced to sit with 4 fouls. They take the seat after the matchup problem that you mentioned that Pete Gillen was having to endure during that drought. And the other fellas that have come in have gotten the job done for Providence.
And as Providence continues to extend its defense to pressure the perimeter, Marquette has an excellent opportunity to exploit the interior of their defense with entry passes to the post.
That pass deflected off the Friar, and it belongs to Marquette. Crawford leaving the game. Mike Bargan has come back in, number 21. Marcus West running the show. Marquette becomes a much smaller team with him on the floor, particularly with Hutchins running curls, but it does take some heat off him, and he can shoot. Just like that, 14 for Aaron Hutchins as he begins to warm up. He's a much better shooter when he can move to the 2 spot as opposed to play point.
But what I think that happens is it puts him in his comfort zone. The reality of it all is he's probably more of an off guard than he is a point guard.
Yeah, the point guard's body, right?
Yes.
Crozier working on Crawford. He's had a feast this time. Levette wins. Levette we haven't heard from in a while. Crozier brings it down. And the Mexico Old Dominion game tightening up.
But the Marquette defense is not tightening up.
Crozier, going reversal, he manages contact. The Friar front line has been the difference. West picking up that foul. Look at that. Crozier leading the way, but getting plenty of help. 44 and 12 between them.
Not bad for a team that's recognized as being guard-oriented. And anything you get from Ruben Garces is dessert.
Frontline defense, when you start talking about Marquette, particularly in Conference USA, the numbers that they were able to pull off against the likes of Danny Fortson, not only winning, but winning going away, would tell you that that's their specialty. So this is an exemplary performance by the Providence front court.
When the two of us were talking this afternoon, I told you I fully expected Providence to play very well in this game, principally because they're playing away from Providence and away from New York, and they don't have to listen to a lot of negative talk.
Pete Gillen's endured some of that in the Big East this year. Hutchins creating. He was inside the cylinder with Bargan. Wave it up. Sadly, I think that shot would have fallen without Bargan's help.
Oh, yes. The funeral was being prepared on the rim. It was going to die and trickle in.
Shammgod back on the floor, playing with 4 fouls. Hutchins trying to check him. Marquette really in a situation now where they have to take some chances. Shot clock winding down, under 10. Corey Wright. Pulled down by Cliff. Good pass. Levette on the receiving end of that nice touch pass from Marcus West. 62-47. Pete Gillen wants a timeout. Six minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Pete Gillen wants to talk a little longer than 20 seconds. We'll be right back. The Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, the MEAC, if you will, to win a tournament game. Georgetown with its first-round loss since '81. Reggie Freeman stepping out of the shadow of Lopez Felipe and getting 31 for Texas today as Tom Pender's 16-11 team from the Big 12 moves forward.
Reggie Freeman, one of the most explosive offensive players in collegiate basketball.
And a great student of the game. Keeps somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 or 150 videotapes of past games dating all the way back to the 70s in his dorm room. Derek Brown, boy, is he in rhythm. And he got out of the gate slowly today. He has 13 tonight.
I'm certain during that timeout that Pete Gillen reminded his team that we do not want to trade baskets with Marquette. What we need is about 3 straight defensive stops.
Hutchins, nice individual move by Aaron Hutchins. 16 for him. He has 12 of those 16 here in the second half. Individually keeping this team in it. It's obvious Pieper's really run out of gas, playing with, in effect, a shoulder and a half tonight. Crozier off the back iron.
He missed the shot, but it was unselfish offense by Providence as they continued to move the ball and seek the open shot.
You see Pieper try to raise his arm and get to that pass that was a bit high. He really couldn't get to it. It was obvious in that last sequence. What a marvelous move by Hutchins. 18, throwing that one up from the hip. 65-51, under 5 minutes remaining. Skip pass to Crozier. Now he takes the baseline, and he gets the foul. Look at that.
A nice penetration by Aaron Hutchins, and a soft kiss up on the glass for the trickle-in basket.
Pieper picking up that foul, his 4th. On the other end, so Crozier gets to the line.
And what we have at the defensive end for Marquette now is a half-court trap. Providence is rotated into a 2-1-2 set. They're spreading the floor, causing Marquette to have to chase the basketball as Providence pursues easy shooting opportunities.
67-51. Good dump into Faisal Abraham. And he got hammered going up. Crozier there quickly to let him know there was no ill will intended. Crozier with only his first foul of the game. And now the reality beginning to set in for the Golden Eagles, a team that went on a monster run. And literally, when you think about bubble teams, we begin talking about it, those of us that follow college basketball, the end of January, early February, really. When mentioning bubble teams, Marquette was probably at the top of the list from February 1 forward. They go into their conference tournament and win 4 straight. They earned it the hard way. And it could end all too abruptly for Mike Dean's team tonight.
Both of these teams had a lot of anxious moments as it approached Selection Sunday.
Morgan Picking up that foul against Shammgod. Second foul against him. And some grand anticipation. It's been a decade since Providence had success in the NCAA tournament. Rich history of Marquette, of course, dating back 20 years ago. And Kevin O'Neill founded a defensive tenacity as head coach with the likes of McIlvain in the middle, was able to pull off an upset of Kentucky in the regionals a couple of years back. And when Mike Dean came over from Siena, that defensive toughness didn't leave with O'Neill. They continued that tradition. But Providence has exploded against them tonight. Pieper missing a layup. You know he's hurting.
Two of basketball's finest coaches both wore the uniform of Providence. The winningest all-time NBA coach, Lenny Wilkins, was a point guard at Providence, and certainly Georgetown's magnificent coach, John Thompson, a graduate of Providence also.
Pieper fouling out. This will be his last game in all likelihood. Crawford coming over with a timeout called by Mike Dean. And a technical foul on Mike Dean. As Pieper picked up that foul, Dean exchanging some verbiage with Rusty Herring. Crawford got the foul, his fifth.
What Mike is saying is if he committed the foul, why does he have a cut on his forehead? He's bleeding, and the player who's going to the foul line is not bleeding.
And he's making his point well known. Pieper also talking just a bit.
There you can see the cut on him.
That's a huge scratch from the top of the forehead, and another technical.
He's gone. He's gone. He doesn't need another one. Mike, you don't want to do this, Mike. Go ahead to the dressing room. You do not want to do this, Mike.
C.M. Newton, who is in charge of this tournament for the NCAA, getting an earful from Mike Dean.
He doesn't need a reprimand. Let's take a look at what precipitated all of this. All right, a scratch across the face, and that's what brought the long scar on Pieper's face. It happened so quick, I'm not sure the official really caught it.
There was no malice intended by Crozier. I mean, that's one of those incidental contacts. You talk about a glancing blow or a glancing fingernail that might get you. Now, granted, I understand Mike Dean being upset, but that's awfully difficult for an official to detect. Now, I understand the frustration, but Crozier meant no harm. And in the Big East, there's been probably a little more blood and a few more bruises than that particular play.
Tim, I'm going to tell you this, as an old friend of mine,
for that matter, in Conference USA, it looks bad for that young man, and I feel for him, but it's hard to argue with an official missing that particular play.
God, you sound like Johnny Cochran. Let me tell you something, as John Thompson is fond of saying to me, George, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Well, Mike Dean made his point and has left the building, at least for now.
Well, it's 4:20 to go. He can go out in the CBS truck and watch the remainder of this. Not that he might want.
Crozier with a season high as the damage to Pieper's tended to.
You know, I had a game down in New Orleans, and they threw Bob Huggins out in the first 8 minutes, and he spent the rest of the game out in the CBS truck watching the game. Our producer, Mike Burks, is a big basketball hoop fan. He might want to invite Mike Dean out there with him, talk a little hoops.
Well, he has the season high. He's now going for a career high. He now has it, courtesy Mike Dean's double technical. Oh, the iron kind on the last one. A career 35 points for him. That's a career high. 13 of 13 at the stripe. Crawford sits. Dean is gone as Pieper bleeds. And Providence up by 22. Crozier looking for a coronation in this offensive sequence with that move.
Marquette.
And West picking up the foul as you look at Bo Ellis. He's been through 3 head coaches, remaining a part of this team. Of course, a star for Al McGuire. Coach Raymond's when he took the reins. Kevin O'Neill. And now Mike Dean.
And Bo Ellis has taken over a little bit of the head coaching responsibilities.
Mike Rice, another assistant, son of the former head basketball coach from Duquesne, Mike Rice, senior, and Dan Thies, as you see Bo Ellis shouting instructions to his ball club. Providence 18 of 22 at the line, and they've stretched this lead, and for all intents and purposes, it ended when Dean made his exclamation point and his exit. Cleared by Jamel Thomas. Ooh, nice stop and go by Shammgod, and he can let that 35-second clock tick away with the ball in his hand.
The ball is part of Shammgod's hand.
Yeah, you're right. At times it appears a part of the anatomy, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Trying to get through that double team. He gives it up. Jamel Thomas. West. Rejected by Thomas. Crozier to the trailer. He gets it back.
And these last 3 minutes of the game are what I call stats time. Everybody tries to fatten up their statistics.
Hutchins. He has 20. Well, this is the first stats time that we've seen today. Our other matchups all very competitive. The score between USC and Illinois not indicative of how close it was. A 69-69 game before Illinois went on a tremendous run in the last 4 minutes. And of course, UT Chattanooga winning by 3 after claiming a 20-point lead in the first half against Georgia.
Tim, let me ask you a question. In the game of basketball, do you think it would be advisable to allow a team to surrender if they want to?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because I do.
Not for the betterment of the student athlete, right? You still have to teach that lesson and play hard for the entire 40 minutes. But then again, I've never been in the position that you were in at one time.
I've been in a few games I wanted to surrender.
Hutchins looking for the pick and roll. Finds Levette. Nice spin move.
I like that youngster.
Timeout. Marquette. Bo Ellis wants his team to play hard. He's not ready to throw up a white flag. 2:04 to play. There was a method to his madness, and Bo Ellis helped make it happen. With Butch Lee, Bernard Toon, Jim Boylan, and many others, the Marquette Warriors at that time forged their way to a national title, beating North Carolina at the Omni in Atlanta. Jerome, all a part of that NCAA team. Bo Ellis now in the unenviable position of coaching after his head coach, Mike Dean, ejected on a double technical and trailing by 22. Crozier gets Abraham airborne and draws the foul. You raised the point earlier. have you ever thought that perhaps they should throw up the white flag? And I said no. But then again, a lot of times head coaches don't have to watch all 40 minutes. They can allow the assistants to finish it out, as is the case tonight. That was a remarkable time. So few ever get to leave the game. 10 of 16.
Thomas was able to respond the last time by hitting 2 at the
Old
line.
Dominion and New Mexico coming down to the closing seconds.
He could have given the ball to Alney.
57-55 New Mexico. Hey, let's listen in with Mike Gorman and John Sunvolt.
To the foul line.
Jeff Capel is going to send Mark Pogue back into the game. Pogue almost didn't get to the table in time. Jeff Capel had Freddie Bryant in the game for the first time tonight. I have a feeling he was the designated fouler.
Good call.
Thomas looking to stretch the lead to 3.
Well, the crowd now has livened up a little bit here, Mike.
Patino for Barnes and for that man. Much like a ghost of Christmas past, something they just couldn't get away from. Clearing into the game. West can't hit. And the Providence Friars have done it. 81-59. They led by 18 at halftime. Pete Gillen's club. Crozier with a career performance, 39 points for him and a perfect 15 of 15 from the free throw line. And it is the first Providence NCAA tournament win since 1987 when Rick Pitino's miracle run with Kipfer, Duda, and Billy Donovan made a run to the Final Four in New Orleans. Our Chevrolet players of the game, Crozier, 39, 6 boards, and the aforementioned 15 of 15 at the free throw line. And Anthony Pieper, a courageous performance, 14 points, playing with a dislocated left shoulder. So the Friars move on. We have 3 of the 4 for Sunday. Duke and Murray State will be coming up shortly in the finale of our first round. Hail to the victors and to Austin Crozier. Turned down by UConn, turned down by Notre Dame, but more than happy to have a scholarship in Rhode Island for the beloved Friars of Providence. For George Raveling, Tim Brando saying so long for now. We'll be back shortly. Right now, let's take you back to our New York
Thank you, Tim. Good job down there. You and George and Providence moving on to the second round. We've got a story brewing in Pittsburgh.